Can I just get a quick poll? Who here works in game development? Majority, I think. Great. Who's an influencer? Hi. And who else do I have? Third-party service platforms, etc. Cool. Awesome. Nice to have so many devs involved. All right. So I'm here to talk about 8 mistakes in influencer marketing. There's actually plenty more mistakes to be done, but these were some that I hope you get some practical advice for. Before I go into that, a quick introduction. I'm from Matchmade. We're the leading influencer marketing platform. So we all actually have a gaming studio background. I worked at Super Evil and Supercell in the past and did influencer marketing over there. So we have a very data-driven approach to influencer marketing because we like to look at data and get to results versus get lured by big subscriber counts. So we built a platform where we essentially take the YouTube and Twitch API, pull all that in, cross-reference it with 20,000 games, and our intelligent algorithm does all these magical, wonderful things. And essentially, we find the influencers for you based on who you want to reach. You're not looking to reach the influencer, you're looking to reach their target audience. So we dig a little bit deeper and do some clever things to find the right folks to work with. It's an automated platform, so you can run the whole thing from search to negotiating a deal and running analytics and everything on the platform. But I'm not here to sell. I just wanted to explain that. So my name is Heini Vesander. I'm the CMO. I've spent the past 10 years in marketing pretty much. I feel old. I've been on studio side, so like I mentioned most previously, Vainglory was my game. So worked at Super Evil in California, but then relocated back to Europe. I am Finnish. I might not always sound that. It's the California years rubbing on me. And yeah. So now let's get into the 8 mistakes. So the first one, the cardinal sin of everything, what we marketers, this is essentially the root cause to all evil. If we don't set our goals right, this is actually a really cute GIF, but I don't know if it's playing, but that's fine. You really need to be clear in your goal setting for influencer marketing from the beginning. And I know it can be difficult because influencer marketing tends to live in many places in your organization. At Super Evil, for example, it was a mix of PR, it was a mix of UA, and it was a mix of community building. So you want to make sure that you're kind of aligned. And if you have goals that are not aligned, then make sure you navigate that. So we had very select strategies for non-paid and paid influencers. So just something to keep in mind. Anyway, so how do you fix this? Oh, there, the GIF is playing. I figured, soccer goes, football, sorry, a long way here. So typically goals that you have as a game company, it's usually awareness, installs, or building a community. So this is the type of metrics that you should really look at. And we all know that a good goal it's specific, it has numbers, it has a deadline, and it's easy to understand, and it's aligned with business. So anyway, so for the awareness bit, look at the number of views that you're getting, and then if you want to get into a little bit more kind of deeper and understand how you are interesting for the channel, is look at how the viewership for your paid segment or your video or your stream is comparing to the average on that channel. So you have a little bit more. You're not looking just absolute, so you're looking at relevancy as well. Installs is really easy. Your goal is installs, so you measure the installs, set that clear. You can also look at something like click-through rate and engagement to have again a little bit more relatable data. And then number 3, community. I look at views and then engagement. And in the end, you want to be very clear when you're building communities, where are you driving those folks? Where are you building that community? If you're not pushing them to your game, where do you want to push that? Yeah. So then the next one, bad content matching. This is, I think, one of the biggest mistakes. I think marketers, we're really busy. We have so many channels. We have so many things to do that we typically look at a couple of games that are kind of similar to ours. We look at a few influencers, and then we just kind of make a list and go from there. But that's being a little bit too lazy. And so this is one funny example. They did a Listerine Instagram ad, and it went all wrong. And anyway, she got death threats from it, and it was kind of a horrible case. But the point there is that make sure your product makes sense for the influencer. Don't think only, like I need to sell my game, but make sure that you're thinking it's a two-way street. You want to create co-value together. Hold on. Yes. So don't be lazy when you're selecting your influencers. Do your homework, use some analytics, and be honest. So one thing, like easy thing to do is, you know who you're targeting. You know your sweet spot audience. Look at that and then go dig some data. We can help, or there's, I bet Zorka can also help. There's many companies who can help with this, but look at the data of their audience. So make sure that you're overlapping, so that you're not, if you're targeting 40-year-old women, that you're not reaching 50-year-old boys, because that will it lead to the Instagram situation. And then the other thing is be critical and evaluate and be honest. Like, does my game make sense for this audience? I've seen a lot of mobile games, Vainglory being one, so I can blame myself for this mistake. We went very heavy on Twitch because we were a core game, so we're like, all right, this makes sense. To be honest, there's not a single mobile game that's been popular on Twitch. So I think Supercell guys did this really well. They've built it all on YouTube, also their esports side. So that's something to just consider when you're building your strategy. All right, this is some data, just as a sample from our platform. So this is the type of data that you want to look at when you're evaluating the channels who you want to work with. All right. Oh, did you want a photo? I was too quick here. No worries. Then the next mistake that I'm going to go to is bad tracking. Because if you've set your goals and you find the relevant channels and then you do your campaigns and then you forget to set up the tracking properly, you're screwed. Because as a marketer, you want to be able to explain what you did, and like, this is a very critical part. And it doesn't have to be all that sophisticated. You can do easily, if you have a Kochava or an Adjust, you do unique links and you send those out, and just make sure you're kind of smart in how you organize your Excel and everything for this. If you're not at the phase where you're using the Kochavas and Adjust, you can hack it with Bitly. It's a lot more manual labor, but it's doable. So just make sure, and when you do your tracking, remember what are your goals and make sure that you're staring at the right numbers, because that's also something that's easy to get wrong. All right. Problem number 4, you're not experimenting enough. Okay, so now you have your goals, you have your influencers, you have your campaign live, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this again. Because as marketers, we want to scale and we want to save time. Great. A lot of it is scalable, but you should save some time on being experimental. Right now, Fortnite's massive. So I'm seeing this huge trend of, I want to work with Fortnite influencers. Well, yes, you can do that, but you should also think about other things you can do as well. So in my opinion, if you have a budget, you should allocate some of it as a test budget. Look at alternative geographies. You might find interesting downloads and engagement rates looking at a country like Brazil, for example. You should also look at different size influencers, not just get stuck in medium works for us. You might want to try out a little bit more. And also the different platforms. You could try YouTube, Twitch, you could try, Instagram and all those. There's so many platforms now. And then varying content. So as advertisers, I think we like to think that my game's the best. I want to have a video of my game only. Yes, but typically we see lower viewership rates for that. So something that can also work really well is an integrated video. So that means that there's a video that the influencer is doing anyway, and then they take a 1-minute segment out of their video and put your game in. Here's an example. The audio is not working, but this is hilarious.
Actually a friend of the Nico Milana channel. He got his friends in a circle and gave the last one standing $10,000. What a great guy. It was a good video, but the only thing it was missing was chaos. Which is where I come in. Imagine a group of friends in a pool filled with slime in the freezing cold British weather, battling it out for £5,000. Now I'll be watching over this challenge, and my sole aim is to make my friends turn on each other. Not only is this going to be a battle of who can last the longest, but I'll also be testing human nature. And who are my victims? Chunks, AJ, Sharky, Kenny, and Johnny Carey. All I had to do was tell them what was on the line.
£5,000?
£5,000.
What, you Mr. Beast?
Yeah, that's me.
Let's do that. Oh, you're putting easy money up. You know what, where's my wallet? Look at my wallet right now. £5,000 for people in smart. Oh, that's easy.
Yes!
So easy. Let's go.
£5,000.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that before.
No, for real, I'm being honest this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So everyone was on it apart from Mr. Johnny Carey. All I had to do now was set things up. Okay, it's freezing cold outside, but it's time to set up this pool. I know what you're thinking, how have I been able to buy a swimming pool and get a £5,000 cash prize? Well, I guess you could call me a legend. A monster legend! Monster Legends is an exciting game where you are able to build your own lands in different towns.
I just love that. I think it's such a good pun and a fun way to get into a sponsored bit. And that kind of integrated content can really work. As an advertiser, you're probably like, but honestly, like the viewership and the engagement for something like that can be a lot higher than dedicated. So just bear that in mind. All right, number 5. As marketers, we think we know everything. Who thinks that money is the most important thing for influencers when they decide if they work with you? I gave you that. Oh, okay. Well, you guys are smarter than I thought. It's actually what they care about. We just ran this survey recently. The most important thing to them is if their audience will like it, or if the game suits their channel. So it's all about relevancy. Only 4% thought that money is the most important thing. So that's something to keep in mind. And also, each influencer is unique. And I know as marketers, we want to scale and just have like a one cut way to do things, but you have to be a little bit more creative and personalize things a little bit more. So essentially, don't think you know everything. Listen to the influencers. Personalize your outreach. We all hate automated marketing emails, so don't do it with the influencers either. Really think what you can offer them as well. Maybe you can throw some giveaways for their audience and stuff like that to make it even more relevant. Does your game suit their channel? I already went through that. Be critical, and also just look at the data. Like if you can tell them that, yeah, I think there's a match here, that's good data for them to know as well. And one really important bit is give them access to the game early if you can, and ask for their opinion. Like, hey, what do you think? Do you think this could be a game that you want to work with? It can be a smart strategy because they might really like it. It can push their price down a little bit, but also they're going to be more engaged, and the content will be better. Okay. And then number 6, getting lured by big subscriber counts only. I know it's very easy to go on YouTube, look at a channel. Okay, that's a good sub count. Okay, let's go with this. Here's just some data. This is real data. It's just anonymous. You can compare some of the numbers. So for example, there's 2 quite big channels, 5.9 million, 7.94 million. But if you look at their 30-day average viewership, which is the interesting number here, you can see that the 5.9 million one has only around 40,000 views per video in the last 30 days versus the other guy has 5.5 million. So that's the kind of stuff, because a lot of influencers may have grown big and have big subscriber counts because they grew big on a game that's not big anymore. But people don't unsubscribe. So essentially, you might be paying for viewers who aren't really there. So you want to be careful about that one. And then vice versa, the other one, probably Fortnite, because people are really watching it and they're subscribing, so the numbers really add up there. Similarly, in the smaller ones, you can have a small channel reach. So this is a 1.8 million subscribers, 231,000. So a lot smaller channel reaching similar viewership and a lot higher engagement. So it's not only the subscriber counts that matter. Also, when it comes to geos, don't only look at their location. So this is also real data. Again, this is a channel. If you go look on YouTube, it's based in Australia, but then when you look behind the scenes, 60% is in the US. And now if you're an early release in Australia and you want players in Australia and you work with this person, you're screwed, because you're paying for people who can't install the game because they're not in the right geo. Okay, so fix it, use the data, compare their subscribers' viewership engagement, make sure that the numbers add up. Also track what performs for your game. So when you start doing these influencer things, it can be a little bit manual, but in my opinion, it's the easiest way. Is you just start to put everything together and you see kind of what's performing for your game, and then you learn from there. And then probably if you do a good channel mix, you learn that, okay, what's really performing for me is like mommy blogs. Okay, great. Mommy blogs resonate with my player base. Great. And it's probably not something you were expecting for a game. Okay, I'm running out of time. Bad briefs, bad mistake, easy easy to fix. Just be specific enough. Don't copyright for them. Give the influencers creative space. They've built their channel. They've built their audiences. That's what they do best. But make sure you provide them with the necessary information in an easy way to understand. Have your CTAs, your hashtags, your where to download descriptions and vocabulary and the few things they're not allowed to say. Just write it out in a clear way. Don't copyright, and you can also do this in a video format. I mean, we are talking about influencers who do video, so they resonate really well with the video greeting. And then not enough time. This is one of the cardinal sins. It's really quick one to fix. Give them enough time. You're not going to get great quality content in 3 days. I don't know if you can build a game in 3 days, but you can't make a video in 3 days that quickly. So that's one easy to fix. Start your influencer outreach early. The negotiations take a longer time than you'll expect, and then give them space and use your calendar. Set up pings and alarm clocks and all that lovely tech that's out there. That's it. That's a summary of everything. If you want to grab a photo, and then there's a bonus. Go sign up to our newsletter and learn more easily. We send a newsletter roughly once a month. We have a blog going out every week, so there's a lot of tips and tricks in there. My name's Heini. Thank you again for listening to me. I know it's late in the afternoon. Good work. Questions?
Hi, so in your experience, do the influencers that you work with tend to only play games if they're paid to, or do they have a mix of, they just pick stuff up like a normal gamer just because they want to? Do they have a mix of that, or?
Usually the latter. And I think a lot of the influencers, I mean, they're gamers at heart, especially if you're working with gaming channels, and they love playing games. They might play a lot, but then they might not publish content about that game necessarily.
Okay.
So I saw we did a paid campaign with PewDiePie, and then we saw him logging back in the game later on, but because also it wasn't his main title, so he doesn't want to like push something to his audience if they're like reacting negatively. But some of them will try out games, and for example, like Nick at Night and Malt, they have variety channels separately. So they've built their bases on Supercell games, but then they have smaller channels where they just try random games, and that's actually a good place actually to work. Yeah. He's getting to you.
Thank you. So I'm a developer. So from your own experience, when do you think it's the best time to contact an influencer? I mean, if you contact it too early before your game launch, you get lost in touch, and if you like do it too late, it's like there's not enough time to get a bond together.
It depends on your game, and it depends on your launch strategy. With Vainglory, what we did, because it was a very core game, and we were bringing out a MOBA for mobile. Like it was very, like the sell was really difficult. So we brought them in very early. We brought them, I think, 3 months before launch, and we brought them, we flew in some of the key folks that we'd identified from around the world to our office to hang out, play the game, gave them early access. What do you guys think? What do you think would be better? I mean, it's not the cheapest way to go about, but then we really got them invested and involved early on, and it really helped us build a community of influencers then kind of from the get-go. So then when we were live, they were really familiar with the games. They knew the devs by name and everything. So we had a very close relationship with the close 10 ones. But then you probably want to figure out a two-way strategy. So have the ones that you're not paying, build the community ones, but they'll come around launch when your game's out and there's people who are fanatic and want to do YouTube content. Support them, help them, tweet out, give them access, give them some in-game currency if you can, and then figure out what does the paid look like, and then kind of figuring out the balance between the two.